In this video, I'm going to be talking about exchange and transaction and how we're all getting used or doing the using, vice versa. And the question is, how much and in what capacity? Hey y'all, hey, I am Fiat Hollins and I'm here to help women connect deeply to themselves so they can get the life they desire and stop letting people play in their face, okay? Okay. If you like content like this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. So I wanted to share briefly why I make content like this. So I consider myself a storyteller, a story writer, as well as a story listener. So if you're into spirituality or like woo-woo stuff, astrology, and also human design, in my human design chart, I'm not sure if you can hear, there are people walking past in the hallway. So I don't know if it's going to pick up in the audio, but in my human design chart, it basically states that I am here to listen to stories. And I am here to listen to people's stories because I am here to help people change the narrative of their story. So see their story in a different way. Because what I've found and what I've learned is that our stories and the meaning that we give our stories is what keeps us stuck. So it's not to like discount or discard or downplay what has happened to us, but to look at that story and see what the lesson was and to purpose that lesson, purpose that pain. So I am actually here to help us see our stories in a different way. And how I know this is because I didn't come across human design until about 2017, 2018. Someone reached out to me and asked if they can do a reading, and I was just like, sure. And what she said was spot on. So this is before I even knew that it was in my chart, that it was in the stars or whatever. And it made sense based on my life and how people come to me with their stories, how people share their deepest, darkest secrets with me, things that they don't even share with their mates, close family members, and all of that. And I didn't know what that meant at first, but I had to keep on living. And it's been showing itself, making itself apparent that I am here to listen to stories and here to share said stories to help us navigate life. So I came across this post from a family member, and this is how I came up with the topic of transactional relationships, right? So this is the post. I'm going to read it. This is a guy. Okay, so give some context. This is a guy. The guy is my cousin. He's a black man who is married to a white woman. I don't even necessarily know if that matters because I don't know if that matters, but anyway. So they're married. They're young, so they're not even like 40 years old yet. So let's say 35, something like that. Okay. So he says, "Today I want to thank my beautiful wife, I'm not going to say names, for putting up with me for 18 years, for always making sure I get what I want, for always believing in me, fuck up after fuck up, bad investments. You let me become a man. Let me take all the time I needed to get all the bad, dumb shit out of the way. No, I'm sorry. The bad, dumb shit out of me. Always saying that I'm not going to leave you. Just figure shit out. Thank you for the food truck. Even though you know I can't cook, I asked and you made it happen. Thank you for showing me 46 states. Thank you for the big, beautiful house." Then he says, "You boys better get you a," then he states her name, "and stop playing." The first thing that I noticed when reading this post is that it didn't come off as like a loving post to me. It didn't come off as a, this is my wife's birthday, I love her, and blah 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 blah. It screamed to me, thank you for allowing me to F up, cheat on you, grow up, all while still putting up with my shit, pretty much. And this was her birthday. So it wasn't really about her. It was more so about what she had done for him over the years, over the 18 years that they've been together. And that made me think like, wow. At first I'm just like, that's messed up. But I'm like, maybe she's okay with how the relationship is. Maybe she's okay with it being transactional, because it doesn't scream love to me in this post. The definition of transactional relationships are interactions where people engage primarily for a specific, often tangible exchange or benefit. These can be in the form of goods, services, or even emotional support. So this got me to thinking about my life, right? And I actually was just like, okay, so I go into every relationship, friendship or otherwise, with the mindset of how can this, or how is this going to benefit me? How can this person be a resource? And also, when somebody wants to be friends with me, want to kick it with me, hang out with me or whatever, I always ask myself, like, what does this person want from me? And it's not even in a bad way. It's just like, honestly, like, you know, what does this person like? Who sent you? And on the flip side of that, I'm also just like, how can I show up for this person? Like, what do I have to offer this person? Because we have to understand that we are here to help each other. Like, um, like how can I be a benefit to you? I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just like how, like, what resources do I have? What resources do you have? Let's come together. Let's collab. Let's do the thing. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And I also know that not everyone is coming from a place of altruism and just doing things from the bottom of their hearts. This is about mutuality, period. And it's because I also know that not everyone is doing everything from the bottom of their heart. Like, not everyone is coming from a place of altruism and just doing things from the bottom of their heart. It's like, this is about mutuality, period. So I came across some of my journal entries from when I was like 19 and in my 20s. And I would write in my journals a lot that I did not want to be in a relationship. And for years, I thought this was because I was a commitment phobe and all of that stuff. And once I went through the healing process and started getting deeper into the reasons why I was repeating certain patterns, yes, it does appear that I had some commitment issues because of, like my attachment style and um, trust issues. But while some of that may be true, a little piece of it, like a small percentage of that may be true, I also still feel like I never wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to spend time with people for companionship purposes. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to go out to eat. I wanted to go to the movies. And I would do those things and often would be met with the guy wanting to be in a relationship. And I used to just be like, why? Like, why do we have to be in a relationship? You know what I'm saying? And then I quickly noticed that most guys don't want to do those things for you. If you're not in a relationship, they feel like you're using them. If you're doing that outside of having a label or title on what it is that you're doing. Whereas I felt like it was a fair exchange. It's like, I'm using my time, my energy, give you my personality, and we're in each other's company, we're exchanging the same thing. Like, but like, plus you're paying. So I guess it's the paying part, right, that becomes an issue, because a lot of guys feel like women are gold diggers and users, and we just see it as an exchange. in exchange. So I got into a somewhat heated discussion with somebody that I used to mess around with. So this guy, I started messing around with him maybe like almost 4 years ago. So 3.5 years ago. And it was necessary for me to get into this situationship with him because he was the last lesson that I needed to learn as far as my life journey. And also, he's the one that I got the biggest lesson from when it comes to, or when it came to, no, when it comes to my identity, um, my self esteem, and how I see and view things. This is also kind of why I wanted to make this video. This person is the first time I was really made aware of what gaslighting is. So, in layman's terms, gaslighting is when you feel a way. You express a certain thing, something that doesn't sit right with you, and you go to the person that you're having the concern with, and this person makes you feel like as if you're crazy. So you know the thing, you feel the thing, you see the thing, and the person is just like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you mean, when they know full well what you mean. So the term came out a long time ago, and it was a husband and a wife, man and woman. The man would turn the man turned the stove on, right? And this is me paraphrasing and going off memory and not really remember super specifics. But the man turned the stove on. The stove on. The stove on. Jesus. And then he turned the stove on for a while and then turned it off. And so then the wife would say, I smell gas. And the husband would be like, well, I don't. What are you talking about? Knowing that he just fucking turned the stove off. And he would do that and continue to do that. And so to make the woman feel crazy. So more people walking down the hall. So it's a manipulative tactic. It's a way to make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about, and it gives that person the upper hand. So the lesson I had to learn with this person is that people will play in your face. So this is why I say in my intro, get the life you desire and stop letting folks play in your face, because he is the prime example of a person that fully played in my face. So the lesson I had to learn from him is to pay attention to your intuition. Listen to your gut. Like, don't let people just tell you. Don't let people just tell you shit. You're not crazy. So the reason why I had to learn a lesson from him is because when we first started talking, because, well, to me, I started talking to him because in the beginning, when he approached me, he made it seem as if we were going to get to know each other so that it could lead to a relationship. And I was okay with that because um I wasn't ready to jump into another relationship because I had just gotten out of another one with the guy who read my journals, didn't like what he read, and then he just dumped me, right? So now this guy, he was just like, let's get to know each other with the hopes of us, getting into a relationship. And I'm just like, cool, let's take our time, not rushing, but let's take our time. And I learned a few months in that was not his plan. That his plan was just to keep me keep me a jump off, to keep me a sneaky link, to keep me a side piece. And so I dealt with him for about 2 years. And within those 2 years, the reason why I stayed, because he did a good job confusing me. So if you're doing a research on anything about gaslighting and all that kind of stuff, they will keep you confused. So his actions did not align with his words. So even though in the beginning he was saying like, yeah, I want us to get to know each other and see where this goes. After a while, I was just like, it's not seeming like he wants to see where this goes, because I would bring the conversation up and it'd just be like, oh, we can't get together because of this, or he would make up different excuses. And so then I was like, okay, so then I'll fall back. But he would still want to spend time with me. He would still want to talk to me on the phone for like 8 hours a day. So I was thinking like, oh, that has to mean something. You know what I mean? But it didn't mean anything. It just meant that he wanted to still continue to satisfy his need of having access to me. So he shared this video on his page where this woman was talking, pretty much saying like, don't pour into a woman. A woman will pretty much lead you astray. And I am totally paraphrasing, but the woman was just talking nonsense. She was this young girl. She probably was maybe late 20s, 30s, maybe. And so he shared that post, and I'm looking like, Ninja, really? And so I responded with the palm and face emoji. So he inboxed me and was like, it's in the scripture that there has been women who destroyed kings and kingdoms. And I fucking lost it. I was just like, what? Men kill me wanting to use scripture when it benefits them. So this is someone who doesn't fucking go to church, who doesn't fucking read the Bible, who doesn't really practice religion or any type of Christianity, right? Oh no, Christianity or any type of religion, I should say. And so you want to throw out there like, it's in the scripture that women have destroyed. And what the fuck have y'all destroyed? So then the conversation became this whole thing about me saying to him, our the little thing that we had was transactional, and that it would have been better had you come off initially by saying, hey, I just want somebody that I can watch movies with, hang out with, drink wine, and have XES with every now and then. However, we know that they're not going to come and say that. Some dudes may. I'm not going to say that. But I said you would have been better off saying that, because that's what you wanted to do. You never. So the issue that I had is that I felt like he never intended on pursuing a relationship with me. That from the jump, he knew that. And he's steady trying to say like, how could you say that? You don't know, you're not in my head. You can't possibly know my feelings. But at the same time, not stating what was in his head or what was in his feelings. So again, still gaslighting. So even though I feel like all interactions are transactional, it becomes a problem when we want deep connections with people, right? Because there are superficial interactions, and there are also like we do in business, and there are deep interactions. So again, they're transactions nonetheless. Most often than not, we want depth, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the issue is the pretending. The issue is the mask we wear, the people we're pretending to be, just to get the date, just to get the money, just to get the XES, and just to get the roof over our heads. It's the pretending that is the issue. So I said earlier that it would have been better had he just been like, hey, I just want to hang out with you, because eventually the end goal is to smash, right? So they know that they can't just come out and say that. I mean, I know some do. They can't just be like, okay, I just want to hit it. But of course, sometimes they can. So nothing is like black and white. Nothing is like absolute. It's always just it's like gray area. Everything is both. Because I know there are going to be people that's just like, oh, but yeah, we do that, then you look at it like this. Or if I don't, none of this is absolute. Okay, there are always exceptions to the rule. But oftentimes we internalize, and we don't want to look like a 3 or 4, and we're like, okay, we're more than that, and yada yada. This is if a dude comes to us and be like, I just want to, hit it. And then we internalize it like, oh my God, no, more, I'm more than that, blah, blah, blah. And on the flip side, we can't go to a dude and just be like, hey, I want you to, to give me some money without them wanting something in exchange for that. You know what I mean? Again, it's all transactional. It's just, what side of the transaction are you on? We all use and get used, right? And it doesn't have to look, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when we pretend. When we pretend, because I don't even know how to express it any more than that. We are here to give and get from each other. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Give and get from each other. Okay. And so we're either having superficial transactions or meaningful ones. But know that it's a transaction nonetheless. I know I said that before, but I want to reiterate that. It's a transaction nonetheless. Before my mom passed away, she told me to not get married again for love. We all know that marriage is a business arrangement, right? A transaction. Marriage is a business arrangement. You give a girl to a wealthy family. That's what marriage was initially, right? And then it kind of like transformed into love years later, sort of, kind of. But at the end of the day, it is a business arrangement, a transaction. Nobody wants to feel used, yet we all are getting used to some degree. And we all are using somebody or people to some degree. All of us. Nobody's exempt. Nobody.
Inventory of the people we spend the most time with. How guarded are you? And I don't mean like from a privacy standpoint, but I mean with your time.
Maybe it's because I'm still young, but I am pretty ruthless when it comes to the people that I have in my life.
Yeah.
I tend to have a relatively contrarian view on relationships, which is that I do believe that all relationships are transactional. It sounds hard to say, but if you never got anything positive at some point, most humans will cease to continue the relationship. I don't want to keep a relationship because I have always had it. I don't want to give value to something because it has existed, but only insofar as it will continue to add value, and more so that it is aligned with where I want to go. The people or actions we take are either going to get us closer or further from our goals. And so I want to stack the deck in my favor with the most amount of people who help me get the furthest or closest to my goals compared to other things.
So I'm looking down. I didn't say this before, but I have my notes, right? So men often call us like gold diggers and users when we ask for money, not understanding that this is a transaction. It's a reciprocity that's taking place, right? It's an exchange. So the reason it's a problem and the reason they feel used is because they think they're entitled to our bodies. They feel that they're automatically deserving, and that the exchanging of money by default makes us a 304 or makes us look like one. So the guy I mentioned early in this video about being a gaslighter, he said to me that the problem is that we women think we're better than men, and that we're not better and more important, and that we're not, and that yes, that it may be transactional, and however, if a man wants XES and he and the woman have that, then that's the exchange right there. That's the reciprocity. And that money should not be asked. Like, a woman should not feel entitled to more than that because it's an even exchange. And I totally disagree, which is why he feels like I think that we're more important, that women are more important. I feel like because emotional labor and all of that is often ignored, that they don't add that into the picture. So I'm not talking about on a strictly, if you go and have if you go and enlist the service of paying for XES. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in most cases, when a man and a woman, or it could be same sex, I don't know, but whatever. When you have XES, it's more that goes to it, right? Where women are pouring into the man, we are listening to them, we're letting them trauma dump on us, we're letting them vent, we are providing emotional support as well, which often is invisible work and gets overlooked. So I don't think it's an even exchange, is what my point is. So because they think that they're automatically deserving and entitled to our bodies, the exchanging of money by default makes us look like a 304. And they can't have that, because how would that make them look if they're dealing with a 304? So side note, but not really. You know that saying, you can't turn a 304 into a housewife? Have you noticed that men will marry the quote-unquote good girl, but they will cheat with the 304? Why do you think that is?
Relationships are transactional. Some people are just more overt when comparing between the deposits and withdrawals. Here's how people are groomed to be pick-me's. Let's talk about it. First of all, I'm going to tell you every relationship is transactional, even if you think it's not. Every relationship is a bank, and each person is depositing in the bank. At some point, you take a withdrawal. It can be asking for a favor. It can be making a mistake and hurting the other person. The balance goes down. When you do something for the person, the balance goes up. Even though you're not counting what someone is doing and saying, I did this for you, so you do this for me, it's still transactional in the sense that someone can't keep withdrawing from the relationship, taking advantage of you, without you coming to the conclusion that you don't want to be in the relationship anymore. At some point, you will reach a limit, which proves that there's an exchange that's going on. Anyone who comes to you and tells you that you should let a guy use your time without a clear understanding of what you're getting from it is teaching you self-betrayal, is teaching you to be someone who's easy to take advantage of. The kind of women who don't get played by men, if you listen to them carefully when they're saying there's some women we just know you don't play with, are the women that assess at the very beginning, what am I getting out of this? If you don't make such assessments, men will waste your time. You know how I'm always saying people fearmonger you by threatening to use negative labels on you to get you to do something. Whenever people say something like, you're so transactional, that's what they are doing. You will never see a man who will entertain you if he doesn't think he's going to get anything out of it. Men already approach the interaction from a transactional standpoint, but they don't want you to think in this way. So then they'll say, oh, you're so transactional. You're no different from a prostitute. And they're saying this as an insult. And some women give in and they're like, I should be able to sleep with this man without expecting anything from him. I should be able to go on a date, listen to him trauma dump on me without getting anything from him. It's too transactional to ask for something. Newsflash, the guy is getting something from you, whether you like it or not. You can't run away from exchange. Whenever you talk to people, you're exchanging. There's an exchange that happens. It's up to you to decide whether you deserve a fair exchange or you deserve to be taken advantage of. So if you listen to people who say don't be transactional, pay attention, because a lot of them don't value themselves enough. They're okay with wasting their time, going on dates with people and not getting anything from it. And they are actually grooming you to be a pick-me.
They want our time, attention, energy, want us to be a safe space, want us to listen, be a sounding board, cook, do laundry, all in exchange for the peen. That's it.
See, the problem with this age is that all we know how to do is have transactional relationships. If you give me this, I'll give you that. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. And as long as you have transactional relationships, those aren't real relationships. And some of you don't even know what I'm talking about because all you've ever seen was these swap shop relationships. You don't do nothing for me, I don't do nothing for you. If you help me, I'll help you. If you give me this, I'll give you that. You don't know how to love beyond transaction. But every now and then you got to test the love to see if it's just transactional. Do you love me as long as I put you in the house? Do you love me as long as I let you drive the car? If I take the car, will I lose you? Because transactional relationships do not last.
So TD Jakes' message is about superficial transactional relationships. What he's not saying is that everything is in exchange. There has to be a combination of like superficial plus deep, meaningful interactions, because you can't be deep with everybody. Here are some ways to build meaningful transactional relationships. 1, be genuine in your interactions. 2, practice active listening. 3, try to understand the feelings and needs of the other person. 4, give without expecting. When people see that you're genuinely willing to assist, they may reciprocate. Again, in exchange, if we fully grasped, that word is hard to say. If we fully grasped, I still don't think I said it right, that it's an exchange, a reciprocity, and went into it as such, maybe it will go over a little bit better. Because think about it. Why do we go on dates? We go on dates to vet the person, right? To see who the person is and how this person could possibly fit into our lives. We're both exchanging time, our conversations, our energy, wanting to get to know each other while eating good food, which is a basic human need. We got to eat, right? As well as seeing if we connect, which is another basic human need. And we do this because like maybe this will lead to friendship, companionship, romantic relationship, forking, something. The bottom line is that folks need to stop acting like they're not going into something and not expecting something. Time is finite, life is short. Your energy and your presence is powerful. Your energy and presence are powerful. What are your thoughts? Do you think our relationships are transactional? What do you think? Please comment below. Let's have a conversation. Yeah, I'm always open to discussion, open for discussion, open to new ways of thinking of things. So just let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and see y'all next time. Bye.